it is your buddy, Peace and Harmony with you here today. Much love going out to all the beautiful, empowered harmonizers. We are zooming in and focusing in a little bit more in depth on a trait of a narcissist and also a trait of a psychopath, really as you get a little bit further into the relationship. And that is known as sort of antagonistic or antagonism. When you are going through the devalue and discard phase, you are going to get hit up with antagonism. Someone who is trying to blame you as the troublemaker. Someone who is trying to call you the bad guy. Someone who is trying to pit all jokes, all opinions against you. All bets are off when it comes to your success. These are the people really who are your dream stealers, your naysayers, the people who will rain on your parade. They will cast a dark cloud over your sunny day. So no matter where you go, there will be a sort of a toxification, a manipulation, a condescension, a dampering down, a downplaying and minimizing of your happiness, your joy, your freedom, and namely just sort of your how you try to interact or have a discourse or communication. Namely as that of sort of really that whole reverse, just sort of reverse criticism. So in other words, no matter words that are uttered out of your mouth, there's always something problematic. They are going to take the antagonistic side. They're going to take the other or polar opposite. They're going to be, they're going to be antagonistic. In other words, sort of come at you. When you try to be smart, witty, yourself, have a say, have a guess what, did you check that out? They don't like the attention to be on you. It's as if you've already had enough. It's as if you've already, used up your life, and that nothing what you do from here on out will make any difference. In other words, you can never settle a score with an antagonistic narcissist or psychopath. Once they get going, they are on their own tally sheet. They are, on their own bottom line, which they are sort of tallying up in a pre-calculated manner the way to sort of score you out. And so really, when we talk about, the antagonistic side, oh, and by the way, happy Easter. I hope it's a great Easter for you. And, we're trying to keep the faith and stay safe and keep the course when it comes to Easter here as well. So limited, if no gatherings, it's oftentimes can be very difficult. And you can get an antagonistic narcissist who either comes up on your inbox, your thoughts, or what have you. And, how do you disarm these negative situations? The narcissist will come at you from that polar opposite known as antagonism, where they're trying, you say be safe and they say take a risk. You say take a risk and they say be safe. That you say, oh, cheers to this, and then they say, well, we can't really be so happy for that, because they're going to take an opposite course. They're going to take something else other than, and it'll just sort of harm the innocent. It will taint the pure. It will tarnish the good of heart. It will break down even the toughest of people. It is that antagonism. It is very difficult. So be able to see it, and you will, sometimes see it then cast onto others. So if you're no longer, a poking prod for a narcissist or a psychopath, you can sure well sort of wait and hide out, and you will basically come to see it to fruition when they begin, basically shooting their poison at somebody else. They will go excreting their poison, their toxic thoughts, their toxic behaviors, their toxic comments, their jabs in between the ribs, hitting you so you can't defend yourself. If you stay around long enough, which I don't recommend that you do, you will definitely, they will definitely, you will see, if you're no longer a punching bag for them, that you will see that they will make punching bag out of another. And the most innocent, the most well-deserving, the one who has worked for it the hardest, you will see them become an object of resentment, an object of contention. Whether they're deserving of it or not, it will definitely reveal you will see the narcissist do what has been done to you onto others. And if then you're getting validation, and then you're finally feeling heard, seen, in other words, it's no longer you, sometimes that's validation that people need, that you aren't coming from, you're not crazy, you're not, making all this up. This is not, this is not, all made up in your head and all psychosomatic, and you're an inferior cloth or whatever it is that the narcissist is trying to make you up to be. They will maim and destroy. They really have sort of their arrow cocked when it's people's finest moments. And I've said this before, and I guess I will say it again, that is when they will really sort of hit hard. And for the tough, maybe they want to take a challenge and they don't see the ill intent, but stick around long enough and you'll start to hear the souring of their sweetness and their comments. It becomes really unsavory, and it becomes very hurtful, and you almost have like a hurt, by osmosis. In other words, you hurt for this person, but you feel it's like it's still being done unto you. If you've sort of been through that chamber, if you've been through that situation and experience, it is not painful. It does, it is painful. It does not go away very quickly. It does not oftentimes like remedy itself. I'm just kind of bundling up here. But, it does not oftentimes, resolve itself. There's an antagonism. And then if you're with a narcissist long enough, you might experience sort of that internalization of the message of the narcissist. In other words, when they are just sort of, you need support, and, but they're not going to allow you to have your joy. They are the deal, the joy stealers. They become antagonistic for no problem. And some people like a good fight. I guess there are some people in this world who like to fight, bicker, whatever it is, become antagonistic and think that it's all for play. At a certain point, you don't want to play that. It becomes immature. It becomes juvenile. It becomes not what you're about. You're not of that character. You don't wish to engage in that. There's other finer emotions, feelings, and actions and behaviors that you would rather take beyond, just, playing in that game, mentality. Some people like to play video games. Some people like to play mind games. I mean, it's just what they do. It's entertaining for them. It's an escape for them. It's a getaway. It's something they are interested in. It's something, oftentimes, it's very character defining for them. And so, you have to realize, this is just what they do. The more you can understand that it's oftentimes not only you and not your, you have to realize that it is the most innocent, oftentimes, of the people that get hurt. It's, it's the most vulnerable. It's the most innocent, the most, defenseless. Do you see what you were saying? I mean, there's nothing you can do. This came across your path for a reason. It is what it is. Divine order is at play. You just have to remember that, and remember, really, and keep faith alive. Really, and when I say alive, I mean alive and strong in your life. I mean, I talk, whatever religion, whatever really connects you to what you feel is the divine, the truth, the real deal, your best, whatever it is, know what that is, and begin to really bring that out in the open. Especially now with this pandemic, you have an opportunity to move these things around. Begin to identify, what your truth is, and begin to reclaim it, even if you feel that you lost it decades ago, because it's still there. You still are protected, and your truth is still your truth. And they say the truth will set you free, and you definitely will not feel cooped up under a quarantine when the truth has set you free. You feel free. I mean, you feel at you feel at the top. You feel at the top of your game. You feel opportunity to be creative. You start going for that. I talk about, the importance of getting out and going for a walk. You go for that. You've nudged yourself. You're like, come on, you can do it. Do that one little walk, and you do that one little walk, and then you catch something that catches your eye, and then you get inspired, and then you take action right away. And then next thing you know, you are in the creative, or the presence of the creative, the presence of the creator, whatever it is you want to call, when all of a sudden you feel that you're perked up and everything's going to be all right, and you can trust yourself, and you don't have to feel that you have to live in denial. And so the narcissist, though, will be very antagonistic, very, not appropriately, antagonistic. In other words, going for, the Achilles tendon, the jugular, whatever it is, they're going to go for that. That's just what they do. If you can begin to understand that it is a pattern that you can try to change, try to rearrange, it ain't going nowhere. So you'll only fatigue yourself and wear yourself out. But the more that you can understand and embrace whatever your own authentic message is, know that it is yours, and have courage enough to live your message. Be, courageous enough to live your truth so you can be free even under quarantine. That you can feel a sense of new life, even if it feels life is changing. And trust me, I think it's changing for a reason. But what a great time it is now to become part of this really miraculous time in human history. I hope you embrace it with gratitude. I hope you embrace it with mystery. I hope you embrace it with the time has come, and really begin to become more of an explorer, an inquisitor, an inventor, someone who you begin to then, develop that resourcefulness, that resilience, that self-reliance, which is basically empowerment that we talk about. And oftentimes it is that living in experiential state which is not given or allowed when you're under a control or manipulation of someone who is narcissistic or psychopathic. That, you're always at, you're always at a war, you're always at a struggle. It's always uncomfortable. When it really gets through the love bombing, it becomes the devalue and the discard. And the antagonism can be very, very trying on people. So back off from antagonistic. Don't interject. Don't try to put your foot in, your finger in, your word in. Do not have any in. Just completely allow it to pass like a stream, like a leaf on a stream that is just going to be there, and it's going down the stream, and who knows what's going to happen to it. But you can't worry about that leaf. You absolutely cannot. All you can, do is let it go and wish it well. Wish whatever that energy is well, but it'll have to be on its way. You can give it prayer. You can give it whatever, but be willing to cut the cord. I think, especially if it's zap of your energy. If it's an energy sort of, if it's not a good, healthy exchange, then be willing to identify it as such and say, whoa, that is a real, energy zapper. I need to, I need to stop with that. I need to stop. I need to energize and find out what that is and what really brings that to life, and be okay being, on with what is on and right for yourself. Not, it's what other people's thoughts of you are none of your business. And this applies to the antagonist. If someone's trying to get you to fight and lose, hope or, innovation, especially I'm a very big advocate of innovation. as I've talked here on the channel. I'm a big believer in that. I don't know all about it, but I am a believer in positive innovation, and as well as it's principled and of integrity and, of value and worth. I really believe in innovation. And so I think now, there's going to be a lot of innovation. And so you have to realize that's kind of what your recovery date is about. Backing off from the antagonist, trying to stay out of that force and counterforce activity, and just be allowed to lead and navigate yourself into an uncharted territory, into uncharted waters, into another direction. The direction meaning positive, orderly direction, and in the order and direction of who you want to be and become. And realize all the elements that are surrounding you that help you to become or to not become who and what it is you want to become. So you have to realize that those people who are antagonistic are going to sort of keep you and hold you back from who you are meant to become, your purpose in life, your place on the map, who you are to radiate from. If you're, selfless, then to be selfless. If you're compassionate, to be compassionate. If you're empowered, to be empowered. If you're a good listener, then to listen. If you're creative, then to create. If you're a builder, then to build. If you're a writer, then to write. If you're, to find your mode of production, which means adding a value, and, that becomes really an individual path. It becomes an individual choice. It becomes a conscious choice, and one that is formatted, after what it is you want. So it begins oftentimes with an image. So you have to understand that the image of an antagonist oftentimes is one who is sort of always condescending and putting you down, trying to get you to put up your dukes. And you put a lot of energy into that fight rather than into the creative or the productive. So be able to identify what is, how you have perhaps backslid, mudslid into an antagonist situation and did not give into, because they will tempt you. Come on, put your dukes up. I think you can fight. I've got some fighting words. I've got some fighting emails. I've got some fighting texts. I've got some fighting. To what degree do you want to step away from, that antagonism? Be able to identify it and get some space, some real, a big wide stream of space between, like a current of air, a divine current of air. I had a little coin that I found today earlier, it says divine currency. And it's like there is a divine current between you and the antagonist. Allow it to run its course. Allow it to tap into that sort of stream of the divine, the sort of the, I guess you would call it the stream of a divine, or another another vibe, a better choice, a better perspective when antagonists come your way. Begin to tap into divine current instead of the negative current. Do not plug into the negative current. You're going to get what you plug into. And the more you can, and I think the older you get, the more you will understand how important it is that your choices are and the bearing that it has on your life. Your relationships are not like when they were 16. Oh, this, that, at the playground, at the high school, whatever. You need to realize that there is a growth table, a growth area, where you are to grow and enter into a new level. It's going to feel different, but it's not going to be because someone else is trying to tell you. It's going to come from within. And it might take you a short period of time. It might take you a long period of time. You might save yourself some time, but in having an image of how you want it to be is going to be very important, because the image is what gives you your eye attention, and you're using that prefrontal cortex, which is resonating on something in the real world, which you can develop in your mind's eye. In other words, you can cultivate it and know it, but and to then attend to it will then help things culminate in that direction. So rather than having your energy zapped by the antagonistic, become your own advocate and your own leader. And maybe it's called a protagonistic when it's the good guy. You're going to be the good guy to yourself, almost like allow it to swoop in and catch your feet, be able to act on inspiration. It's very important. It's very, very important. Once you get this and begin to make this internal connection and cycle within yourself, and you get it going again, you'll understand really what empowerment feels like and what it can do for you. Exit away from the antagonist. You can do it. You got this. It's your body, peace and harmony with you here today. And I hope that these videos do help. Please share, please subscribe, and please donate for more great tools, videos, discussion, and support. And of course, please remember to stay safe. It's a beautiful day. Make sure you make it and make it special. Make it memorable. Make it yours.